In this video, I am going to give you an overview of how to make an assessment for your students using Google Forms, and from there, I will show you how to auto-grade that assessment as well. If you're a visual person, this might be all you need, but if you want to look at it written out and you want to kind of read through the process, I'll provide instructions for that as well. So the easiest way to do this is to log into your Google account and simply search for Google Forms. Okay, create and analyze surveys for free. We'll click that Google Forms. Go to Forms, and that opens up a form for us. So the first thing you can do is you can name the form. For example, let's say this is called Ancient Egypt Test. And you hit OK. Automatically, since I'm logged into my drive, this is saving this assessment in my drive already. Okay? There are a few different settings. I'm going to require Mapleton Local Schools login to view this form. That means only students from my school can see this test, can take part in this test, that kind of thing. Okay? There are a few different question formats. There's multiple choice. If it's one word answer you're looking for, you can use text. I've used true and false in here before. If it's a short answer, you're going to want to select paragraph text. If you're wanting them to choose more than one options, you can do check boxes or choose from a list. Okay, those are all different options that you have there. The ones that I have found that work best for auto grading are either multiple choice only and one word answer only. You can still use auto grade and then just manually grade the short answers at the end. I've done that as well. I would suggest using a combination of those for the easiest auto grading. So let's say first we're doing a multiple choice question. Let's say we want to ask, for our first question, let's say, what is the process ancient Egyptians used to preserve bodies? Is it cremating? Is it embalming? Or is it burial? After the question is complete, we're just simply going to hit done, and then we can add another item. So let's say this time we want to add a text-based question to show you what that looks like. Let's ask what is the name of the famous river flowing through Egypt? And their answer would go here, which would then be Nile. One thing I forgot to mention last time, we do want to click required question for both of these, because that means that the students actually do have to answer them. So any assessment, you want the questions to be required. So both of these are required questions. They're both in here. If we want to number them on our test, we can do that too. And just by clicking it, we can come back in here. So let's say we want to call this one question number 1. And then we want to hit done. And let's say we want to call this one question number 2. And then we want to hit done. It is very user-friendly for the editing process in terms of that. If you want to go to the next page, there's something called a page break that we can insert, and that just means that it's the end of the page, and if we want to add a title, we can. If we just want it to be a page break, delete that and hit done. And now after page 1, here would be page 2 of our test. And by page, it means what appears on the screen on the same frame for the student without clicking to the next. Okay? Another thing we can insert is an image or a video. If you're doing park prep, since they are required to analyze videos on park language arts tests, videos would be a great thing to add. For social studies, science, math, language arts, really any content, images to analyze and to help. If you're doing social studies, you could add a picture of a map here to have them answer questions about a map, or pictures of an artifact, anything like that. If you're teaching science or math, maybe a chart, a graph, or a grid would be helpful here. And there are really all kinds of things you can do to customize your your test. And in terms of layout, the text, all those kinds of things, you really just need to play around with it until you find a format that you do like. For this task, I would like you to create at least 5 questions of an assessment. Try to make it one that you might actually use, so you get something out of it. Maybe for your content area, just a quick 5-question test. Or if you would rather do a survey format, you could do a survey format as well. In my classroom, I've used student feedback surveys before on here and have had quite a few students utilize that as well. But 5-question assessment would probably be best. Another good practice is to have the students identifying information at the beginning. So for example, we'll add item. We want that to be a text item. It would be last name, we would type, and we would make that a required question. And that would be the first thing, so we'd drag it up to the top. And then we'll add another item. And we will say first name, text question, it's required. And we'll drag it up to the top. And last but not least, we'll do a multiple choice for the period the students are in. I find multiple choice to be best because otherwise students type the period in all types of ways. Class period, for mine I have period 1, period 3, period 5, and period 7. And so what I would do then, make this a required question, hit done, drag that up to be the 3rd item on the assessment. So when we put that in there, now students are required to put that information in before moving to the first question on the assessment. And to take a look at how we have this set up, we can view the live form, and that's what students will see. Now, this is pretty boring, so I think that we want to change the theme. By selecting Change the Theme, it allows us to add a splash of color to this file before students take the test. So since it's a social studies test, I'll look and see if there's anything social studies-y over here. I don't recall what there is. I'm just going to go with some generic color, go with these circles. And then this is applied to our test, so it's not so dull and plain anymore. It's adding a little splash of color. And now we can view it again. And this is what the students will see now. So I'm happier with that. Now that we're happier with the form and the way it looks, it's time to send the form. So to send the form, you simply click Send Form. You're going to want to send it to me. Just like that, to my Gmail account. There we go. And that is because I am going to take your assessment then. If you're sending it to students, you could type in the whole student group. So for me, I have a 7th grade group with 90 contacts. And the technology assistant at your school can help you figure out how to import all of those contacts into a group also. Another thing I like to do with my forms is post them on my class website. So that way it's kind of all right there and the students are able to more or less just click the link without any technical problems or having that added step of going into their email. But it doesn't take long, so if you don't have a class site, that's a great option as well. And so after you select who you're sending to, just go ahead and hit send. And then the last thing to do with your form is to track the student responses. After the students have taken the test, you simply click View Responses. And each of your questions will tell you, the student's name and class period, and then with the questions, what exactly they answered for those various questions. And so all of this is popped into a spreadsheet by class. So your first period class would appear first, then your third, then your fifth, then your seventh, because it's time stamped. And you can view all of their responses here in the spreadsheet. The last thing you're probably wondering is, how do I access this data? Well, remember, everything is automatically stored to your drive. So when you're logged into your Gmail account, all you need to do is go to your drive, and all of this data will automatically be updated for you. So here it is, our Ancient Egypt test, and automatically generated, we didn't have to do anything for this to happen, is our Ancient Egypt test responses. So I want you to go to your drive and check back and wait for me to take your assessment, and then you can see my score appear here. And that is the end of this assignment.